One thing I've noticed about Kenya is that talk anything anti-government, there are very many people who are ready to worship you. All your past will be forgiven so long as you still remain anti-government. Once you talk pro-government, all your forgiven sins will be revived. Why am I saying so? Some people who are talking pro Matiang'i have forgotten Matiang'i. And you know the funny thing is, if Matiang'i today becomes the president, the very same people will start talking bad about him. If you are seen to praise President Matiang'i, then you'll. So there is this culture of anything government is bad, anything anti-government is good. And when Matiang'i was in government, they could not want to listen anything about him. The same applies to Wamunyoro, Mr. Regardless. Regardless used to talk very bad mambo ya shares and whatever, but now since he's attacking the government, whatever he says, and if tomorrow, if Mr. Regardless becomes the president, he will face that. The same people will attack him, and if you see even a single good point about him, you'll be attacked. I'm saying so because there was a time when Matiang'i said that Kenyans are being sold sugar which has been laced with mercury. And you know, this is a PhD fellow and a university don. He was talking with a lot of seriousness. Of course, later on, when he was confronted, he said that he exaggerated that with a good intention of telling people what seriousness things are. So I can tell you that there are times when two things are mixed. And then sold. Rarely do you find two things mixed and then it is posed as the inferior thing. For example, you can take sugar and salt and mix it and then sell. Only a fool will take that mixture of sugar and salt and say that it is salt. Most of the people who would mix sugar and salt would pose it as sugar. Why am I saying so? When two things are mixed and sold, usually it is the more expensive thing that that is posed for. Let us take the mixture of sugar and salt. In a mixture of sugar and salt, if you mix it and sell it a kilo and say it is salt, how much would you sell a kilo of salt? And how much would you sell it if you post it as sugar? So when two or more things are mixed as contraband, in all cases, almost all cases, it is posed as the expensive of them, unless and until there is an assassination attempt. Like the sugar, if you put there mercury, because if you take tea with mercury, you'll die or your life will be. So if sugar was mixed with mercury during the time that Matiang'i has recanted, then it only happens when they are targeting somebody to be assassinated. But what Matiang'i was trying to say is that Kenya Bureau of Standards had discovered that there was a lot of sugar which was not sugar and it was mercury that was being passed off as sugar. So I'll repeat again where I say that when two or more things are mixed and they want to be sold to people, usually it is determined that they are posed as the more expensive one. More expensive one. I don't know how somebody can get a kilo of mercury and then post it as sugar. I think mercury, a kilo of mercury may be 1 million, and sugar is 200 shillings. And as I'll repeat, is unless somebody wants to assassinate another person. I have two stories about mercury, both in West Pokot, which I want to share with you. During my tour of duty in West Pokot, I came across two cases of mercury that I wanted to share with you. When I was in West Pokot, there were those people who are gold prospectors. They are gold prospectors. There were those ones in those areas of Alale. There's a place near Alale where there was gold, but it was not as much as the gold which was between Ortum and Marich Pass, and all the way to Kainuk, Takwel Gorge area. You can see that in Alale there is a river which is called Kanyangaren. There is a river that is called Kanyangaren, and Marich Pass, there is a river called Moruny. So these people would draw alluvial. They will draw as much alluvial as possible, and then go to the river and try to get gold from the alluvial. In those days, drawing gold was done with fresh utensils. It was used with fresh utensils, and the person doing it has to get a very good eyesight. Somebody with a very good eyesight. I'll explain why both the utensils and good eyesight were important. The first thing was that a new karai was required. If you used an old karai, it was not an old karai is not reflective enough. It is not reflective enough. So as you are washing the alluvial, it is possible for gold to go back to the river and go downstream. Lost work. At the end of the day, you get zero or you get a fraction. Imagine getting less than a quarter of the gold that you are supposed to get. Why? Because you didn't use a new karai and you had poor eyesight. Those was what we used to do that time. So me, I was, of course, I could not do it because of my eyesight. Nowadays, a shortcut has been found. Where you don't even you can even use a plastic basin. Uh, you have to find the mercury. You have to find the mercury. That one, it is identified very early. Just like a magnet. It is very fast. But the problem with it is one. You see, the gold prospector is handling the mercury with the bare hands. Which in the long run will affect him or her. The long use of exposure to mercury by handling it to the skin will have, in the long run, an effect on the person handling. And as I've said, it was being used, the gold perspective is at there is the Weiwei River, there is the River Moruny, there is the River Kanyangaren. Now, if you use mercury, those people are using it on the river so as to get gold very fast. You see, mercury goes into the river, and those people who are using the river in upstream, it affects them. Medically. I'm not a medical person, but I can say that it can affect. You see, it has affected you, the prospector, and it will also affect people downstream who will be using that water in the various way we use water. That one is the first time I got it, and if a way can be found where these people can prospect for gold. It is good for them to go to the old system, but you see, going to the old system needs patience. You need to be very patient. You have to take time. You have to take time to draw the. You have to take time to draw the mercury. You also have to take a lot of time in buy. You have to spend the money in buying what? You have to spend the money in buying new. You know, the karais. Use it just for a short time, and when the color starts getting off, you place it aside, and so on and so forth. So people convincing these people that to leave mercury, you have to come up with a better way of them uh, getting mercury, no, getting the gold without using mercury. And then again, their level of education in Alale, Marich Pass, or Tum, all the way to Takwel Gorge and Kainuk, telling those their standard of education, you cannot expect it to be like that one of Madera, Karatina. So telling those people, I think, and that is why you'll find in maybe if it has not started, but in the future you may have cases of cancer, both the prospectors and those people who use water upstream, or is it downstream? Downstream, yeah. During my tour of West Pokot also, there was very many cases of minerals. Majority of the mineral cases were fake. Majority of the cases were fake. Uh, Throughout, from the day one up to day last, we used to have cases where people would come, oh, I can sell you this, I can sell you that, I can sell you. There was even others who used to claim that they have been to Mount Elgon, where they drain mercury from a cave. So there are so many such cases. Uh, and then there was a time when someone was selling what he claimed to be mercury inside a treetop. There was a juice that used to be called a treetop. So there was that bottle of treetop juice where somebody had placed there. You saw this. There was a trick that they could mix things. I was even told that there was a way they could mix tomato sauce with other things. I don't know what those things were, but they became. There was a certain thing that they used to claim that it was golden mercury. I can tell anybody who may even still be hearing of golden mercury in West Pokot, treat it as false, because the gray mercury were there and whatever, but in little cases. In West Pokot, there are so many different types of minerals that I would spend time talking about all of them. But there's somebody who came with something mixed with the tomato sauce and whatever, and shining things into a juice, treetop juice bottle. And he was claiming that it was the red mercury. Yeah, they used to call it red mercury. But then we just told him, if it is mercury, mercury cannot stay in a bottle. That bottle will break because mercury is very heavy. Uh, but then in today's story, I'm going to talk about a police officer who caught somebody with liquid claiming to be mercury, claiming to be the brown mercury. I've just told you that the red mercury, I had it, but I never came across it. And I've always believed, up to now, I always believe that in West Pokot, not even West Pokot, do we really have something called red mercury? Well, I heard about it and I saw, but I don't think there is such a mineral. But when you talk about mercury, which is gray, yes, it is there even in thermometers. So this fellow had a gray substance where he was trying to sell it to a police officer. When the police officer saw him, he threatened to arrest the person, and the person fled, leaving back the mercury. You see, those days, Cops were not educated. Were not educated. Let me give an example of my class, Squad 1 of 1982. 3/4 of those people had never stepped in Form 1. 3/4. Although we had 2 Form 6s, me and the late Kwatenge na Kwatemba. Those were the 2 Form 6s. But our class had more than 3/4 who were illiterate. So police officers then were illiterate. This cop wanted to ascertain whether this liquid was genuine mercury or fake, because the person with the mercury had already taken off. He had already taken off. So the police was now had a liquid. That is one. And he was not, this thing about handling things. He may try to sell it to somebody, and later it becomes known that it is fake mercury or fake mineral. You see, it is really hard for you to tell somebody that it is really hard to tell anybody, especially the arresting officer, that this is not my mercury. I had gotten it from another person. So he came looking for me. He came looking for me for the two purposes. One, he wanted me to ascertain that it was genuine mercury. And two, after what do you say? After ascertaining that it is true mercury, then he wanted me to look for a buyer. Three, after getting a buyer, I was supposed to get a good price. So we agreed. We agreed that I do that. We agreed that I look at the mercury and then see if it is genuine. That is one. Two, after ascertaining it is genuine, I look for a buyer. And after getting the buyer, I look for a good price. Good price. But before we did that, before I went to his house, there was an incident at Kapenguria police station. It was believed that a cop had stolen from an accidented car. If you go to police station, you find so many vehicles which had gone through an accident. So one of them, when the owner came now, he wanted to take the vehicle. He found that some things were missing from the vehicle. And for somebody to go to a police station, vandalize things from vehicles parked in the police station, he has to be mad or he has to be a police officer. So they decided to do a cordon and search in the police quarters. So a whistle was blown and everybody was told to stand outside his door. On one side, the police officer, on the other side of the door, his wife. Those days we didn't have police women in operation area. So you stand there with your wife, then they check the house to see. What were they looking for? They were looking for gold, not gold, they were looking for things vandalized from an accident vehicle. This fellow with the mercury used to stay at the end of, where the police quarters or the so-called police lines went up to near, they went all the way up to near a farm, That farm today is where the police headquarters is. So he went to a maize farm, poured that liquid on the ground, and then went back. After the inspection, it was found that the things were not found within the police quarters, so the thing went. And that is when he found me, and we went to scoop the liquid we went to scoop the liquid in the farm.